Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have returned once again. We're taking like mini breaks here, because we've had I've had sicknesses. I don't know about Anthony, but we're healthy. And Can just announced that, well, not just announced, the day of recording, like last week on Thursday. Today's Monday. Announced their lineup for their 2025 festival. I think it's becoming one of, if not the most important film festival. You know, you look at last year and even the year before. You got Anora, Anita Perez, even Flo. You got in the previous years Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall. So lots of big contenders premiering, especially the more international films premiering at this festival, where we get a big idea of what our huge contenders are going to be. So any thoughts, Anthony, on Cannes before we look at the films in this year's lineup and what might transfer over to the Academy Awards?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key point, is that there's going to be films that do well at Cannes that don't necessarily translate to the Western awards groups. For example, Scene of the Sacred Fig, All We Imagine Is Light, I think were both big Cannes favorites last year. They didn't win the Palme d'Or, of course. That was Anora, which did go all the way at the Oscars. But it's good to keep in mind. There's going to be some films that, of course, are going to gain our interest and could do very well at the festival, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be big Oscar-friendly picks. At the same time, the Cannes is proving to, I really think, be a pre-start to the awards season. I do think it's getting a lot of people's interest because of how international the awards body is within the Academy now. And so it's definitely intriguing to see who does get the first flower in the season, who is coming into the fall festivals with the little, tip of the cap that it's like, oh, well, this one, an award at Cannes, So I am intrigued with this season. I think there's a lot of interesting young filmmakers who are, I think, as we've been talking about, the sort of the rebellion of the Oscar bait type movie, just the Oscar bait as a term is kind of going away. And it's interesting to see which films are going to embrace that and which films are still going to be maybe too hard to swallow. They're still out there. So yeah, I'm fascinated to jump into this.
Cannes Film Festival. Let's break down the lineup. What will win that Palme d'Or right there? Who knows? Alpha, speaking of films that might be a little too much for the Academy, Titan, even though it won the Palme d'Or, was distributed by Neon. This will also be distributed by Neon. Julia Ducournau, this is her follow-up to that film. It did not carry over to the Oscars because it was, I think, maybe a little too out there for them. Who knows? The Academy has changed even more a little bit since then. And it follows a young girl who gets rejected by her classmates when a rumor breaks out that she has a new disease. It apparently deals with the AIDS epidemic as well. And Tahar Rahim, I think, is the character who has that. He lost a lot of weight for the role, and it follows this young girl in the photo right here. Also has Emma Mackey in it, and I believe it's English language. I don't believe it's French. It is a French production, as you see with the flag there, but it is not a English. It is not a French, from what I've read, language film. So this will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see with both of her previous films were, I think, a little gory, a little body horror. I don't know how much body horror this will be. We can't really tell this far, but from what I've heard and what it sounds like, it's maybe leaning a little more less body horror, more drama, but we'll see. I love Titan. I know you did as well, so I'm excited to see her next film.
Yeah, I think it's whether they'll go back to the well so soon for her as far as the Palme d'Or, I'm hesitant to think that'll happen. But I do think that this could be just the most talkative movie. This is the one that people just can't shut up about, given what we've heard, and just knowing the type of films that Julia Ducournau makes. So I definitely think this is going to be one that I think most people are going to be very interested in. And the fact that it has, Julie, I think, represents a lot of this very, youthful, sort of new movement of cinema. But, it tackling the AIDS crisis means that it does have some more historical, beats that, Raw and Titan didn't necessarily have. So I think that this could, gain a lot of momentum and a lot of different people coming into the film. So I think this might be the one that I'm the most interested in. So it's good that we're doing it first.
Yeah. It's up there. It's up there for sure. I don't know if she'll continue and get her second Palme in a row. That's pretty rare, but we'll see. I'm excited for it.
I'll use this as another instance to say, if you haven't seen The Mauritanian, which was the movie that put Tahar Rahim on the map, Jodie Foster won a Golden Globe for it. I recommend it. It was one of those pandemic pictures, but he was just sensational in it.
He was great. Forget about Madam Web. He's a good actor. Next up, the big one I think lots of people are talking about here, Sentimental Value, also distributed by Neon, directed by Joachim Trier, who did Worst Person in the World, amongst other things, reuniting with Renata Rensby, Stellan Skarsgård, Elle Fanning. We talked about this a little bit in our Oscar preview episode. It's about two sisters who are grieving the loss of their mother with their long estranged father, who's also a filmmaker, making a film, and he offers his older daughter the role. He returns into the picture of their life. So yeah, this is Joachim Trier. I forget. I think he's been at Cannes multiple times. He's a Cannes favorite. I think he's been here. I think 4 times in the past, and this will be his fifth. The Worst Person in the World won for Best Actress when it competed at Cannes the last time. So he seems, and as we said in our prediction video, the reviews for his films have continually gotten better and better. He's on an upward trajectory. This has a mix, I think, of Worst Person in the World was like completely like foreign actors, foreign language. I think this will be a mix of English language as well as Norwegian. It's got a mix of like foreign actors. Rensby has become more known by Hollywood by now, I think, but with her and the actress who plays her sister, as well as Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning. So this, I think, will be a big awards contender. I'm not sure if this will win the Palm. I know Neon has won the last 5 Palms, so it gives it a good shot, but we'll have to see if sometimes they come in with a Palm and sometimes they see what might win the Palm and they buy it. So who knows?
Yeah, I wouldn't if your reasoning for this doing well and potentially winning the Palme d'Or is because it continues the streak of Neon. I mean, streaks do.
That's not how it. That's not, the jury is not like this is a Neon film.
Yeah,
so.
That's not how the Force works, as one Han Solo said. But I think this seems to be kind of the inverse of Alpha, where I think Alpha, is this, big, demonstrative movie that could turn people off. This seems like it's going to be, very warm and inviting, in the way that, Worst Person in the World was as well. Is this very dialogue driven, intellectual sort of, meditative human piece. And I think that the actors in particular could do very well. I think Stellan Skarsgård is a sneaky, contender for supporting actor.
He's been waiting for a moment like this, I feel like.
Yeah. I was just watching the Avengers earlier today, the first one.
Yeah.
It's just like he just pops in, he'll go and do Mamma Mia, and then he'll have these he's of course in Andor, and then he'll have these he is a great character actor and an international character actor, and so he's like the Sam Rockwell of Sweden. So. Yeah. I could see it happening. I could see this being this sort of trajectory. Also, I think Elle Fanning coming off of A Complete Unknown, is also bolstering. It's all the people involved are coming off of like good, successful projects, including the director. So yeah, I think this is definitely one that I'm definitely again intrigued. The Cannes lineup, it's going to be very hard to find a movie that isn't intriguing or illuminating or get your eyebrows to raise. Those festival programmers do a nice job.
They do, for sure. This will definitely this will be, I think, regardless of what awards it does win at Cannes. I don't think it'll win the Palme for some reason. It just feels a little too predictable to me. I think regardless, this will be one of the top films to keep an eye on, because I think the last 2 years we've had 3 titles each out of Cannes that made it into Best Picture. So definitely keep an eye on a few, and I think this is one to keep an eye on. Next up, we'll see if this is one to keep an eye on. Eddington from A24. Directed by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, Pedro Pascal. It's pretty much about a sheriff played by Joaquin Phoenix who it's set also during the pandemic, which will be interesting during 2020. It's in a small town. He's a sheriff who kind of runs against Pedro Pascal's character because he disagrees with some of his opinions on all of the politics and things going on during that year. Especially, it says here, he refuses to wear a face mask. This leads him to run for mayor, challenging Pedro's character. I don't know who Emma Stone and Austin Butler play, based on the trailer did release the day of recording this. It seems like they're also residents there in said town, so it'll be interesting. I don't completely know how to feel about it or how it will be. I'm excited to see it. I love Ari Aster and all of his previous films. This is his first time making it to Cannes. And I do think that says something about it. I do think if it was like not great, I don't know if they would accept it, but they've accepted not great films before either. So I have faith in it, but I don't know.
I almost have more faith in this film doing better on the international circuits than, with
like The Apprentice.
Yeah. Yes. Because I think that he is such a challenging filmmaker. I mean, I say this with love because I do have such a fondness for all three of his films. But when I came out of when I came out of Hereditary, Midsummer, and Beau's Afraid, I all thought they were like the worst movies of the year. I hated them. And then I like a couple months later, I come back to them and like they all shot up to like my top 10 of their individual years, like or around it, honorable mentions for sure. Like he is somebody who dares to offend you, who's doing new things with cinema. I mean, he's one of the most interesting voices in film right now. And the thing with film festivals is there's a certain culture, I feel like, where everybody tries to get the first impression. They want to have the first impression. So will people sit with the movie long enough, is the question I have. And I do think because it's going to be a satire of pandemic culture in the United States, especially in the Midwest. Yeah, I wonder how this will be received in the current political climate. But there's too many names here that I do think people are going to lean into it. And I do think that, Ari Aster is going, it's a really interesting trajectory because I feel like a lot of the independent filmmakers of our day straddle the commercial line, and just I feel like Ari Aster is fully committed to making independent movies, like the sort of like vibe of I'm going to debut in The Village in New York City and like maybe West Hollywood, like that's going to be my vibe. I'm not interested in like these big releases in the way that Jordan Peele starts as Get Out and then made his way to Nope. Greta Gerwig starts at Lady Bird and then goes to Barbie. I just don't. Ari Aster's not on that trajectory, and I think that's what makes his films really captivating, and each one of them is a gem, and this cast bodes a lot of confidence. So again, leaning in, very interested. I don't know if this is an all-around player, but also I will say from the outset, this kind of gives me a Nora vibes as far as like a movie from a filmmaker we know that has built up a certain pedigree but really hasn't gotten that sort of like overall acceptance or recognition yet, but makes a film maybe that really strikes the right chord. I could see it in the same way. I would be interested in the jury this year and what maybe films they're going to respond to. But that this fits that sort of vibe for a winner, and one that's a little bit more of an American film. So yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, and Anora wasn't. I know we talked about this like all season last year. Anora wasn't. I don't think as much of like a response to the political climate and how they voted as we maybe thought. I think it was more just like the film that they liked the most. So we'll have to see how political people are feeling this year in terms of what they go for. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be interesting. I'm not sure if 2 American films in a row will win the Palm. I feel like that might, but it depends on the jury as well. Okay, we know Juliette Binoche is the head, but we don't know who else is on it.
Yeah.
So if Juliette Binoche had a letterbox, I would say take a look at it for her taste, but she doesn't have one.
I think we know her taste.
Yes.
But
and I don't know if Eddington is quite that, but we'll see.
But again, listen, it's a jury, it's and I also think again, Ari Aster, just hearing the way that Scorsese talks about Ari Aster and his work, I think shows you that this is a filmmaker that isn't confined by the borders of America. I mean, his films really don't resemble American film in many ways. They definitely have a more the filmmaker that he most resembles to me is like Michael Haneke, who is done many works with Juliette Binoche, as far as like he likes to play with form and like really just like isolate the viewer in some ways. So he could be the type of American filmmaker that really appeals to this sort of jury. We'll have to wait and see.
Next up, we've got The History of Sound being distributed by Mubi, directed by Oliver Hermanus, who did Living, starring Paul Mescal, Josh O'Connor, Chris Cooper. Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor playing 2 young men during World War I who set out to record the lives, voices, and music of the American countrymen. I believe this is Oliver Hermanus' first time at Cannes. So, no, he was here before with Beauty in 2011, but that was in The Uncertain Regard, and that won the Queer Palm that year. Speaking of queer, this is a queer film.
A queer palm?
There is a queer palm, yes.
Part of the film festival?
I think so. Yeah, that's what it says here. But yeah, this is a queer story, so who knows? Maybe if they still have that. Actually, I don't. It might be a different section, but yeah, of course, it's Josh O'Connor and Paul Mescal. They're usually gay in most of their films. I don't know about this. It's true. I don't know about this being an awards contender. We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't want to say. I feel like I've heard it's a little mixed, but Oliver Hermanus, Living was a good film. I just don't. Something about it just feels like it might be more of like a film Twitter kind of thing than like a huge thing. But who knows? It could be good. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be the sort of thing that there's a couple movies here that feel like they're maybe getting a head start on the conversation, but they'll maybe do better at fall festivals. This maybe has that sort of vibe. But I think it's
Yeah.
good for movie to continue to establish themselves, because I do think an A24 movie is very different from a Neon movie, is very different from a movie.
Hmm.
And I think the more they establish themselves, it means that, we're getting different types of movies. Because I do think A24 and Neon, especially, their brands are growing, and I think that people are starting to see a certain. They know what to expect as far as the tones and the timbres of those movies.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that I'm glad that movies in the mix, and that the substance wasn't, this sort of like one-time thing.
Yeah, I mean, The Substance when it premiered, that's the thing. The Substance when it premiered at Cannes last year, no one, even the people who saw the film, were like, "This is going to be like a 5-time Oscar nominee and like potentially contend to win Best Actress and then win Best Makeup." So it's really hard to tell this far out. It's what even after we get reviews and stuff and people have seen the film, what ends up being a contender. So we'll have to see what movie is able to do. Both of these actors are also going to have a great year this year. Josh O'Connor's, I think, got 3 or 4 films. Paul Mescal's got this and Hamnet. So yeah, we've got a good lineup. Next up, Nouvelle Vogue, or I think Vague actually, directed by Richard Linklater, starring Zoe Deutsch and a bunch of French actors. And it is French language. It's a French production. This
Shot
is
in the 4:3 ratio, right?
four
Like
by three. Yeah,
he's
it's black
he's,
and white.
he's going all in.
He's going all in. That's what's interesting. It's an interesting choice and maybe bold and risky to premiere this at Cannes of all places, especially as an American filmmaker. Well, I think the French will have a magnifying glass on it and be a little critical as it's an American, as it they may have been if it were a French filmmaker. But
But if
yeah, it follows
anybody was going to, I mean, this is the man who made the Before trilogy,
it makes sense.
and I honestly think that, like, if you polled most people, like the way they do Sight and Sound, and you said you have
Mhm.
to include one movie from the last 20 years, I think Boyhood would be very high up on that list. I think that
Yeah.
Richard Linklater is deeply respected, and I think I feel like Europeans in particular kind of look at him as like the quintessential American independent filmmaker. And
I
so,
think he's been inspired by like the French New Wave, which
yeah,
Breathless is a part of, and you can see that in his films. So I feel like I think the French New Wave like then started the whole wave that he was a part of. So I
this is
think
not going to be looked upon as like Peter Farrelly making Green Book. It's like, oh, you
no,
put on your big
no,
boy pants. No, like this is a natural progression. And honestly, I think it's going to probably come down to the performances. The performances are either going to feel hokey and feel like, oh, we're playing celebrities and like it's tongue in cheek, or it's going to feel a little bit more substantive. And so I think all eyes are on Zoe Deutsch, because I just this is a bigger role, and I think a more serious role than I think we've seen from her. This is kind of like, we just came off of White Lotus and seeing like Patrick Schwarzenegger, step
yeah,
up and, really solidify his acting chops. That's what I'm kind of getting the vibe off. But I think Zoe Deutsch could rise and could be an acting contender for this. I mean, there's a lot of love for Breathless. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's one of the foundational French New Wave films. And if this captures the spirit of that, it could be it could be quite it could be just such a comforting movie that people really want to celebrate it. But I do think it gives you the vibe that it's not like challenging enough. That's the one worry I have. So I don't know if it's going to be a big awards player here, but it could again get that stamp of approval from Cannes.
mhm.
And when it comes here, like people feel like, oh, okay, it's like you did your dismount, you stuck the landing where you need to, you have your recommendation letter from France.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only other time Linklater was at Cannes was with that Fast Food Nation film. So this is his second time here. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I actually because Linklater's not like a huge, especially when it comes to Oscars, like awards contender. Like he had Boyhood. It's not like the Before films were like huge contenders. I think they only got like screenplay noms pretty much. And I feel like this will be in that vein in terms of the style. I think it will maybe feel a little bit more like a Before film than a Boyhood film. So we'll see. I think it could win some sort of prize. I don't know. Maybe if Zoe Deutsch is great, she could win the Best Actress prize. Because I don't think they're going to give it to Rana Rinsve again for another Joachim film. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's definitely a wild card for me because if it's like greatly reviewed and then gets picked up, I could definitely see it becoming one of like the
Mhm.
top contenders out of here.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Next up, The Phoenician Scheme, Focus Features, directed by Wes Anderson, starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Threppleton, who is Kate Winslet's daughter, and Michael
Oh,
Cera.
really? Huh.
Yeah. I learned that after watching the trailer. But yeah, it follows if you've
Does
seen.
it say like Academy Award nominee and then Kate
Oh
Winslet's
no,
daughter, Mia?
I think they're trying to hide the fact that she's a nepo baby. I saw it in the comment section. She's just Mia Threppleton. She's not Mia Winslet. I don't know if that's maybe Kate Winslet's husband's last name.
I was
But yeah,
maybe like it's an anagram of something like I am Lord Voldemort,
maybe.
and if you like
Yeah.
redo the letters. I don't. This is the funny thing with Wes Anderson is that everybody seems to like. I always hear people say, Wes Anderson, I'm getting a little tired of his shtick, but I really liked his last movie. And it's like, there's always this disconnect where people talk about like, oh, I really like Asteroid City, or I really like Grand Budapest Hotel, but I'm not, I'm more like, will this, so I feel like I don't expect this to be an awards contender. I don't expect this to, with Cannes or the Academy. And so I
Maybe
just,
like Asteroid City. That
yeah.
also premiered at Cannes, released in the summer, didn't really do anything.
But it is curious how like for one brief moment there was a chance for Wes Anderson to win like best director, like or best picture, and like we just haven't gotten back to that since. I know he's since won his Oscar with the best live action short category.
Didn't get to give a speech though.
Yes, well he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Wasn't he shooting Asteroid City or something?
And he may have been shooting this because didn't he win it like 2 years ago?
I forget.
Yeah.
Time is a blur in the off season.
Yeah. It is.
So yeah, so I don't see this really having that big a footprint, but I do think it's going to, for the people who ride or die, who are ride or die for Wes Anderson, I think this will be probably another film that really excites them. And he's reteaming also with Scarlett Johansson with this movie. So she's going to have a 1-2 punch with that and Jurassic World this year.
Yes.
And maybe
Quite the
Thunderbolts.
range.
I don't think so, but
She's dead.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There was a theory because in many ways this is Black Widow 2, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what the asterisk is. But then I realized what the asterisk is. I was like, oh, never mind. And I won't spoil it here for the few fans who will care.
The few Marvel hardcores.
I'm here to deliver the mainstream, the movies that you won't like.
I thought it looks okay. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think this will not really be. We saw it with the trailer. It's a Benicio del Toro vehicle. It seems he's the lead here. It's about him and his daughter, who is a nun, and it seems like they go on a whole little thing together, a whole little adventure. So, and also Michael Cera, based on the trailer, is such a good fit for a Wes Anderson film. I'm excited to see that. I have not seen many Wes Anderson films. I only saw a few when I was younger, so I might make a video on that, filling those blind spots, because I don't even remember the ones that I've seen. Fantastic Mr. Fox when I was like really young, and then Moonrise Kingdom, and I don't remember either of them that well.
Oh, okay. I think my favorite is Royal Tenenbaums. I just really love it. It's one of the best Gwyneth Paltrow performances, and Gene Hackman is as sensational as Gene Hackman always is. I think that's my favorite. But I mean, listen. It's funny. I wouldn't like describe as like Wes Anderson's like one of my favorite directors or anything. But like, I've never come out of one of his movies and not enjoyed. But I've also maybe haven't seen the ones that most people find a little bit more controversial. But it's charming, and I respect somebody. Adrian Brody talked about how as an actor, like he is a part of a painting. And it reminds you that this is a visual medium, that you're creating moving pictures. And I like that Wes Anderson at least understands that he's making a painting on film, like that, like he takes care in the look of the movie and like makes sure that he's saying something with the choreography and the just the layout of the picture. So I will always have respect for somebody who gets that part of filmmaking.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we've got The Young Mother's Home. Now we are going to get into some of the more international films that we know a little less about. But it's directed by Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne, who are frequents at Cannes. It's about a film. It centers on 5 young single mothers who live in a shelter as they struggle for a better life for them and their kids. It's a German film, not really much known outside of the directors and the synopsis. So, any thoughts? Do you think this could be our palm contender?
I think at this point, like, because we're dealing with filmmakers that I think the two of us, but I think a lot of people might not have the same understanding of their history, their filmography, their background, that it's hard to predict whether they could, surmount, all of the other films to win, some of the top prizes. But it's certainly piqued my interest. I did a documentary about a shelter like this in Camden, New Jersey. So it's as somebody who has kind of been in this world, at least to make that movie, I'll be definitely interested in catching this one.
Yeah, they are frequently at Cannes and do well there. So we'll see. We've got Renoir, if that's how it's pronounced. It's a Japanese film directed by Chi. I'm gonna say these names for some of these upcoming films, which are a struggle, and I'm going to do my best. So, directed by Chi Hayakawa. It's about a young girl who has a sick father and a busy mother. She's left to her own imagination. She's fascinated by telepathy and falls even deeper into her own fantasy world.
Sign me up. It sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Good. Yeah, it sounds good. I don't know this filmmaker that well, but yeah, there was a trailer released for this recently. So if you want to get a better vibe or feel for it, I think you can definitely check that out as well. I believe this filmmaker did Plan 75, which was just here at Cannes a few years ago. So this is her follow-up to that.
I'm going to predict that this is one of the movies that one of the Western distributors picks up. Like this has an A24 neon distribution all over it.
Yeah, or movie.
Or movie. That's true.
Or movie. Movie's getting some steam.
Or even like Searchlight. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I mean, the thing
depends how good it is. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of times the main, like the searchlights, the focus features tend to pick up foreign language, like non-English pictures.
Searchlight doesn't tend to pick up any festival films most years. They usually have their contenders early on.
Yeah, and then that's why they, shoot themselves in the foot sometimes, like when it comes to, Night Bitch. We love you, Marielle Heller and Amy Adams.
Okay, we got La Petite Dernier, directed by Hafsia Herzi. It follows Fatima, who leaves her close-knit suburban family to study philosophy in Paris. She finds herself caught between her religious upbringing and the freedom of student life in the city. It's directed by Hafsia Herzi, who I believe this is her first. Yeah, it's her first time at Cannes. So we will see.
Yeah,
I believe she's a French actress, I believe, and this might be her debut. I don't know. So sounds interesting.
Yeah, we have a lot of debuts. Some of the ones out of competition, like Scarlett Johansson, Harris Dickinson made a movie,
directed a film. Yeah.
As far as like trying to predict like what movies could do well, I think given the log line, this could do very well as far as what we're seeing in our country, but I am sure abroad, this is a question about, students and just like, this, it seems that the younger generations today, I know this is true about America. And I want to say that, this is probably an issue affecting a lot of people abroad, that this is the first time that the current generation is going to do worse than their parents. And so this idea of being tied between, religion and like these structures of life and like the freedom that they feel like they're entitled to because they know that this is what the youth is about. I could see that theme being presented and being very prescient in a way that could bode very well for the movie doing some good awards business at Cannes. So I would keep a lookout on this one.
Yeah, always keep an eye out on the French films too, because this is a French film festival.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Sirat, directed by Oliver Lax. It follows a father and his son who travel to Morocco to a party where they hope to find their estranged daughter/sister. He has been to Cannes, I think, 3 times before. Yeah, 3 times before. He won the Uncertain Regard jury prize in 2019, so he is frequent here. Yeah, it's a Spanish film. That's pretty much all we know at this point. Not many thoughts.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of these films, listen, if they're in competition, they've already gone through a lot of because there's the the out of competition films that they're just showing that they didn't deem worthy enough to get into competition. So I mean, it does say something that I think it's we just got
these will be of a certain level.
Yeah, we just got to see the vibes. What's happening. It would be interesting to go and see if I always say these like really interesting ideas. Somebody do one of them. Somebody in our comments do one of these ideas because I think it would be interesting to see if you can draw a comparative analysis between the films that win the Palme d'Or and maybe if there's any real world thing that maybe you say could influence it. Because then it could at least give us a little insight. Or it's just a jury of people picking what movie emotionally moved them the most.
Yeah,
So we have to
that's the
wait.
thing. It changes. People who vote on it change every year, not
Yeah.
like the Academy. So it's hard to
But
find any
listen, I
trends.
think I would even dare to say more than the Academy, the people who are on the Cannes jury really understand the goal of that jury. They know what the purpose of what they're doing is. And so even though, of course, the tastes of the individual jurors will change, I think they know what the goal is with this festival. That's the thing with a
Yeah.
festival versus the Academy. The Academy is an institution where a festival has like a certain specific goal, which is, to present these movies and to, have a platform. The move in some ways, I would say that when it comes to film festivals, the focus is on the films, where I think obviously when it comes to the Oscars, the focus is on the Oscar. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
True. Next up, we've got Two Prosecutors, directed by Sergei Laznitsa. That's about when a prisoner's letter escapes destruction, an idealistic prosecutor, Kornev, uncovers NKVD corruption. His pursuit of justice in Stalin's USSR becomes a dangerous journey into the heart of the system, devouring its own. It's from a Ukrainian filmmaker. I believe he's been to Cannes multiple times. So this is his thought. He won the Best Director prize in the 2018 Uncertain Regard with Donbass. Yeah.
So a Ukrainian making a
Film
movie
about
about
Russia.
Russia. Yeah, I think this could be one that
Keep an
people
eye
will
on it.
towards.
Especially, I would say maybe actor. It seems like a juicy lead role.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Fiore is a Italian film directed by Mario Martone. It's about a writer who ends up in prison for a crazy and unexpected act where she meets some young inmates and they bond and maintain their friendship once they leave prison. Yeah, she has been to Cannes 3 times before with Nostalgia, Rehearsals for the War, and Nasty Love, which the last one competed in competition. So a frequent of Cannes. Italians make good films. That's really all I can. I don't know what else to say. They also make good food. They make a lot of good stuff. That's pretty much it
Yeah.
for that. I would say. I don't. Nothing about this really jumps out to me. Some of these other ones stand out a little more than this one. Just seems like, yeah, that's an international film at a film festival. Next up, this one stands out to me. The Secret Agent, directed by Kleber Mendonca Filho, starring Wagner Moura in the lead role here. It's about during the end of the military dictatorship in Brazil in the late 1970s, where the same time period that I'm Still Here took place during last year. It follows a teacher who flees from his mysterious past to in search of peace, but soon realizes that the city is far from being the refuge he is looking for. This, I think, I think we'll have to see how much the international Brazilian fans get behind this film compared to last year with I'm Still Here. I think this is probably, I would guess, depending on the reviews, going to be Brazil's submission for international feature. We'll have to see if they can follow up 2 years in a row. This director was previously at Cannes in 2016 with Aquarius, and he later returned with Bakaru. So he's got some Cannes past. It sounds like a vehicle for Wagner Moura in particular, who is a great actor. He's popped up in multiple films in the last few years and been great in them, as well as TV shows. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this one, especially if we start to see the Brazilian passion come for it.
Yeah, it's foolish to second guess what that passion does for these films. It makes them important. It makes them vital to be part of the conversation. And I think I'm Still Here might have been just the start of maybe this new craze, in the same way that Parasite really did start something, that led to like Yoo Jung-yoon winning Best Supporting Actress the following year, and a lot of other great films that have been on our radar because of Parasite kind of opening the border to that region of cinema. So yeah, I'm very interested. The one thing is just, will this distinguish itself enough from I'm Still Here? That's the one question as far as it playing to the Oscars and to the more Western groups that just went through some of it with I'm Still Here.
I would keep an eye on Moura for potentially winning the actor prize here, but we'll see.
And
next up, we got Dossier 137, directed by Dominic Mall, starring Leah Drucker, who was in a recent that I forget what it's called, like something summer film. It was a very good film that she starred in. It follows Stephanie, who is an investigator with her department's internal affairs. When case 137 comes across her desk, a part of it turns into something bigger than just a number. It's a French film. Dominic Mall, I believe, has been yeah, he was at his this is his third time in main competition, so he's been here twice before. A lot of these Cannes directors, most of them have been here times before. They've got relationships with the festival. Um, Sounds good. I don't know. I don't know if I see this as. I think this might be a case where I know they accept more French films than other films because it is a French film festival. This sounds like maybe it is maybe just one of the French editions. I don't know if I see this as transcending to becoming like a huge awards contender.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think at this point we got to wait and see. Let's get
Mhm.
some eyeballs on these movies.
Yeah, more of a preview. A Simple Accident, directed by Jafar Pahani. I couldn't find any of the cast members. It's from Iran. This is similar to last year with Seed of the Sacred Fig. He has left. He has been persecuted from the country. He is forbidden. He was convicted for propaganda, I believe is what
He
they
made the
convicted him
movie
of.
in secret, which is partly why we have less information on this than others.
Yeah.
Which means it could be again really really interesting. Bring people in. I do
Mhm.
love the synopsis because I do think what movie can you not describe
I know.
it with
There's like nothing on this film to find besides it's Jafar Bahani and that one image,
yeah.
and it's Iranian. So we'll see. There's definitely a narrative behind him, just like there was with Mohammad Rusulov last year. But last year that didn't amount to anything really for the Seat of Sacred Fig. I believe it just
We're
won a special
nominated.
prize.
You know.
Yeah, it got nominated international. Yeah, I think just because of the whole narrative around it at Cannes last year, I think people thought, like, especially because it was neon at first, people thought that was going to be the big palm winner, and then it just won a special prize. So we'll see. Bahani has frequented Cannes multiple times before. He's an established director. The Mastermind. This is another one of few American films.
Kelly.
Yeah,
Kelly.
movies already got it. Kelly Reichardt returning. I believe she had showing up here in competition in 2022, and I think she had Wendy and Lucy in 2008. That was not in competition. It stars John Magaro, Josh O'Connor. He's got two films here at Cannes. Alana Haim. It's about an art heist drama set against the backdrop of the Vietnam War.
Sign
I
me up.
It
Sign
sounds great. I do think it's not going to be your typical heist though. Knowing Kelly Reichardt, I don't think it will have that type of tone and vibe to it. But it does, based off everything I'm looking at here, seem like it might translate a little more mainstream. But you never know. Kelly Reichardt does kind of seem like a kind of director and style that I struggle seeing. I don't think she's going to compromise and make a more mainstream film, and I struggle seeing her style connecting broadly, but I do think it can connect with a smaller jury. So we'll see.
I do think this is one of her more like popular casts, because
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Williams is longtime collaborator, but like you look
Mm-hmm.
at, I feel like having Josh O'Connor, who's gonna big movie star coming off the his Emmy win for The Crown, was in Challengers, going to be in the Knives Out 3. Alana
Mm-hmm.
Haim, big pop star.
Yeah.
I don't know. I nothing would make me happier than Kelly Reichardt getting like a Chloe Zhao or Jane Campion moment, and
Mm-hmm.
going all the way and joining the list of very formidable female directors that are getting their due in the 21st century. So I would love if this was the start of saying that this is our time to pay attention to Kelly Reichardt, because I mean we have Lily Gladstone because of Kelly Reichardt. I do think Michelle Williams, some of
Sure.
her finest work. I mean her her impact on the independent world, I think, needs to be of greater, needs to be spoken at greater volume.
Yeah, I agree. I do think even if this doesn't become an awards contender, I think it might be like an independent, like more independent awards contender. I do think this will probably win an award at Cannes because she hasn't been awarded at that festival yet. So we'll see. I think she'll probably win. Who knows? Screenplay something. I think it'll get something, but we'll have to see if it's well reviewed. Who knows? I think it will be though. Kelly Reichardt. It's at a certain level. Eagles of the Republic, directed by Tariq Saleh. It follows Egypt's most adored actor who falls into disgrace with authorities overnight. On the verge of everything, George is forced to accept an offer he can't refuse, starring in a propaganda film. This is, I believe, Saleh's second entry here. He won, I believe, Best Screenplay for his first film, which was Cairo Conspiracy. So he's won at Cannes before. He's returning. Interesting sounding synopsis. It'll yeah, be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds fun. Sound of Falling. This is one I really want to point out because there's a lot of buzz surrounding this film. It's directed by Masha Shalinsky. It follows four women over separate decades who are intertwined by trauma and the location that they live. They uncover the truth of the remote German farm where they all live. I mean, just the still alone is beautiful. I've just heard people who have heard things. I don't know where this buzz is exactly coming from, but lots of people are saying like this is like an amazing, amazing film. Like everyone's saying, keeping an eye on this one. That like this is like a very distinct directing vision, and this could be like a big international film contender. We'll have to see. It doesn't have a distributor yet. If it does debut and gets great reviews and seems like an early contender to win the Palm, which I would say right now it's probably my prediction, but who knows? I would I think it'll get picked up. I would say Neon might pick that up if they think it's going to win. So yeah, it sounds interesting. Looks good from that still. Definitely keeping an eye on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I believe this is her first. This is her second film and her first time at Cannes. So we shall see. And our last film, Romeria, directed by Carla Simone. It follows an 18-year-old woman who was orphaned at an early age, and she seeks to meet her grandparents for the first time to get their signature on an application for a scholarship. Carla Simone, yeah, this is her first time at the festival as well. So also an impressive amount. I know Cannes has gotten criticized for this before. Female directors here, I think 5 or 6, which is close to a record for them. So they're doing better in that regards as well. Spanish film sounds interesting. Nothing about this really pops to me like some of the like say Sound of Falling did. But we'll see. We don't really know at this point.
Yeah.
And quickly, notable titles that are at the festival but not in competition. You got Highest Flows, directed by Spike Lee. Just got a still for it.
That says a lot that it's not in competition because it meant Cannes didn't want it in competition. So take that for what you will, but that I think that says a little bit about the movie. Or
it's old boy situation.
Yeah, I could also see that it's maybe just like they already had Linklater doing like this sort of love letter to international cinema. To do Spike Lee as well maybe felt like okay, these two films are kind of
too many American directors
trying to call on turf. It could be that, but it doesn't bode well for it. And then you have the two
we've got
feature debuts.
Eleanor the Great by Scarlett Johansson and Urchin by Harris Dickinson. I'm excited especially for Eleanor the Great. June Squibb, I love June Squibb. This is like her second leading role after Thelma. And I'm excited to see what ScarJo does as a director. That'll be interesting for sure.
I get the vibe that it's going to have Sofia Coppola energy to it, which it
gives Sundance energy to me. I'm surprised it's here, but yeah.
I think Scarlett Johansson she's very aggressive as an artist, as a person. I think that's why she's such a a wonderful presence. Is she just takes no BS, and I think that this kind of shows that I am going to make my debut, and I want people to know who I am. I'm not going into safe territory, and I give her respect for it. And listen, as Mission Impossible is also coming here. Sometimes Cannes surprises you. They whatever people say, American films are still the most popular and I think the most ubiquitous. And so movies that maybe feel a little bit more like Sundance or feel like more American, it's not like there's not a place for that at Cannes.
And there's always a blockbuster here pretty much every year. Like you had Indiana Jones, you had Top Gun, I forget Furiosa.
Top Gun was at Cannes.
It was, yeah. Tom Cruise frequenting Cannes. But yeah, there's usually like one summer blockbuster that really, I believe this film comes out like a week later. So
it comes out from
releases a little early. So
what I find funny about that trend is that the two Star Wars movies to do it were Attack of the Clones and Solo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's not great trajectory for them. Those are not their best films, I would say, especially Attack of the Clones. I would pay money to time travel and go to the screening room of Attack of the Clones at the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah, and just experience what was going on there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love all of Star Wars, so I will always defend 11 movies. But yeah, Attack of the Clones is an interesting one. But listen, if it was Revenge of the Sith,
it's a vision.
Been like, let's put that one on.
Yeah. We've also got The Wave, directed by Sebastian Lilio. It's about a woman who gets involved in a not French, who gets involved in a feminist movement. It's also apparently a musical. So if this
All
wasn't
right.
competition, we could have said this is Amelia Perez, but it's not in competition. But we'll see. Not as many musicals this year, just Wicked, it seems like. So who knows? Maybe this is our other one. This sounds interesting. I'm a little surprised it wasn't in competition. I do feel like that says something. I feel like when you have directors who have previously been in competition at Cannes and then they are put in not in competition, I feel like that sometimes says something. But yeah, and then we've got.
It could be making space for other newer filmmakers. It's like how whenever they don't push Almodovar, it's like it's nothing against him, but he's been pushed so many times. But you're right. It means that their ceiling is lower than some of the other films that they feel like could soar higher.
Very unlikely to be one of their best is usually the way I interpret it. The Privy, directed by Rebecca Zlowski. I just am noting this because it stars Jodie Foster, and I love Jodie Foster. I want to see her in more things. So that is exciting. And lastly, expected titles that were expected to be here and might be added later. There's 19 films right now. And No Other Choice, which I believe a few weeks ago it was noted like this film is not done yet, and it will probably premiere at Venice or Cannes next year. So that's the plan for that, it seems. Some of these might be added. I don't think No Other Choice will be. There's, I believe, like 2 or 3 spots left. Die, My Love, if I'm to guess one of the films that will be added, I do think this will be added, starring Jennifer Lawrence, directed by Lynn Ramsey. It's being edited currently. It seems like it's just wasn't ready to be shown to them yet, but it might be ready to be added later. I hope it gets added. I'm very excited for this film, and I want to know as much about it as soon as possible. And I do think if it does get added to the festival, Lynn Ramsey or Jennifer Lawrence, I think one of them might win one of the awards. We'll see. No distributor for that film yet.
What do we think about the possibility that Jennifer Lawrence joins Emma Stone as a 2-time Oscar winner?
It's possible. I would have to see the film get into Best Picture, and right now I don't know. I'd have to see who picks it up, and I'd have to know more about it. But if the film is strong overall, then I would say she's a top tier contender. Because right now, the films like Julia Roberts, I'm not super confident in After the Hunt being an overall contender. I'm not super confident in Hedda. I have it in picture, but I don't know if that'll be an overall contender. Hamnet, I'm also like Jessie Buckley. I'm sure will give a great performance. I'm iffy about that being an overall contender. So there's no like super strong films besides Wicked, but I don't even know if she'll be nominated this time.
Yeah, we'll see. I just think that I look at Causeway getting Brian Tyree Henry in, and with all due respect, I think the reason people paid attention to that movie was Jennifer Lawrence. Like I think that she does have a certain. I think people have been waiting to like go back to the well that is Jennifer Lawrence, and if this gives them the opportunity to, I think she could soar. Because it's been a minute. I mean, it's been 10 years since her last nomination for Joy. She did that. That run of David O. Russell movies. So I'm ready for her to be back.
Yeah, it sounds like a great role too. So yeah, Father, Mother, Brother, Sister. Jim Jarmusch is usually at Cannes. Apparently, this one was outright rejected, from what I've read. But once again, I don't read into that too much. Hard Truths was outright rejected last year, and that was one of the best films of last year. So sometimes it's just something that doesn't fit their vibe. I don't know. Orphan was also apparently outright rejected, directed by Laszlo Nemes. Once again, I wouldn't read into that too much. And then The Way of the Wind, directed by Terrence Malick. It's just not going to be ready in time. I know every year, because he's a Cannes stable. So if he is to release his film that year, I think it would start out at Cannes. So right now, apparently he's having like his actors edit it too. He's trying like a new approach. So I would say hope for it next year at Cannes, and who knows if it'll happen. Every year we'll just continue to hope. But who knows with him? It finished shooting in 2019. This is a film that finished shooting before the pandemic, so it's been a while. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, No Other Choice, I think, is either going to premiere at Venice or be moved to Cannes next year. So that is our preview of the Cannes Film Festival. We did it. Anthony, what is winning the Palme d'Or out of all of these films here?
I should have known you were going to ask me that. You know what? I'm going to go with Renoir.
Okay, interesting. You're going Renoir. I could see it. It's got a good synopsis. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear about that one. I personally, I'm doing with what it seems like most people are doing. I am going with, where is it? There it is. Sound of Falling. it just, I don't know, something about it, especially with Juliette Binoche at the head of it all. This still, something about this still just really grabs me, and I feel like something about
We
it tells
both
me like,
picked movies with young girls, young
yes,
children.
we did.
And
Yeah,
in,
lots
and
of
in,
female-led
and in
films.
likely fashion for the two of us, I picked the one that seems a little bit more softer and more
Yeah,
fantastical, and you picked the one that makes you want to kill yourself.
looks a little harsher. Yeah, just based off this still. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I'll go with for now. I could be sentimental value, but once again, that just feels a little too predictable for me. So I'm thinking Sound of Falling, and then who knows? We'll talk about what will win like actor and actress once we actually know about these films and their reviews. But just a quick throw in the dark Palm prediction. You guys comment. What do you think is winning the Palm? Um, at the Cannes Film Festival this year. What are your thoughts on the lineup? Which of these do you think will carry over at the Oscars? Usually it's like one, two, maybe three. I would say you've got, I'd say at least two here that will probably carry over, I would guess. So yeah. Any final thoughts, Anthony?
I think that's it. I left it all in the field.
We did it all. So yes, comment your guys' thoughts down below, what you're excited for, what you think will be an Oscar contender. Like the video, subscribe, because award season has begun. No, it hasn't. We just get like a tiny little burst of it with Cannes, and then we
We
return
still have the
back to it.
Emmys. We've
Oh,
completely
we do
done.
need to do the Emmys. Yeah, that's true. We should do the Emmys soon because yeah, we'll do the Emmys soon because there's really only The Last of Us and Andor left in terms of contenders. So we've seen everything
Well,
else.
yeah. I mean, Hacks just started, but
Oh,
yes.
Hacks. Well, yeah, we know that's going to be probably win a contender. But yeah, yeah. Keep it subscribed to stay if you like them. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, we've got this, but we have the can stuff in May, and then Emmy stuff and summer stuff, and then we head into the film festivals in August. So it's award season year round. So you'll want to subscribe to stay tuned. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the video after this. Who knows? Maybe it's Emmys. Who knows?